this aspect of training. The other day I made a video and I talked about how your training should fit reality. Reality shouldn't fit your training should fit reality. You can't change reality to fit your training. Reality is reality. And this one person gets on my YouTube channel and says some really stupid shit. Like, that's not the way it is. It is the way it is. If you're training in a martial art where it's like, oh, you know, we don't need to go hardcore, we don't need to push hard, let everyone can, you know, everyone gets a black belt, and 8-year-olds get a black belt, and the family time and all that. And I think family time is good, but I don't think family time is good if you're going to lie to them and say that's how you defend your life. You know what I'm saying? I think health and fitness is good, and if you're doing martial arts for health and fitness, that's okay. You know what I mean? But don't lie to yourself and say what you're doing is going to protect your life. I think MMA is great. I like watching the boxers and the kickboxers and the MMA, the professional fighters. I think they're highly skilled at what they do, but there isn't one MMA fighter that if they walked in here and I had a knife, I don't give a shit who it is, Conor McGregor or anyone, if I told them, I said, I'll tell you what, you can only do a technique that fits in the UFC ring. You have to fight by UFC rules. I'm not going to fight by UFC rules, but you're going to fight by UFC rules. There isn't anything he does that this one movement with a knife doesn't defeat him 100% of the time. As soon as he gets close enough to hit me, bang, I'm putting a knife in his throat. They do a double leg takedown, in the back of their neck. So even though MMA is great in what it is, and they are great athletes, and they are highly skilled at what they do, and like I said, I like watching the kickboxing, the boxing, and the MMA, and I have much respect for what they do as competitive fighters in the ring. It still isn't self-defense. It's not the same thing. And I'm not saying that to make fun of MMA. You catch what I'm saying? I'm saying that to say the point that it isn't what we do, that is not what we do. So when you guys think about training, if someone who's doing martial arts, let's say they're up the road at one of these bullshit martial arts schools who give black belts to 8-year-olds with the family atmosphere, right? And they do touch martial arts when you touch each other for points and go to your line and touch each other for points, or you keep it really nice and friendly for everyone, and it's all good. It's all well and good, but that is like at a level 1 when it comes to intensity. If you know that someone, if your training has to fit someone trying to knife you, that's way up here. Even MMA isn't as lethal as a real street fight. You know what I mean? If someone's going to knife you on the street, it makes more sense that you understand that a knife in your throat or a gun to your head has a higher probability of death than someone trying to kickbox you on the corner. Right? So when you look at this spectrum of intensity, you have to understand that your training does depend, your life does depend on your training. That's what I'm trying to say. Your life does depend on your training, because if you do something, if you use what you're training, your life depends on it. We're not MMA fighters. We're not getting in the fucking ring. We're training for self, like we talked about at the beginning, self-defense, self-protection. Protect yourself and the ones you love. If we have to do this, someone's ass is going to get really hurt, and probably both parties are. So you can't sit there and think, oh yeah, well I do this nice little stuff, I got this pretty little belt, and I got like 45 different patches, and everyone's in this family atmosphere, and everyone gets to, hold hands and run around the fucking dojo together. That's all well and good, but that isn't going to save your ass. It isn't going to save your life, and it sure shit ain't going to protect the ones that you love. So you cannot change. The reality is, if people jump you, they're trying to hurt you. They're trying to kill you. They're trying to take something from you. And a lot of the times when people do it, it ain't personal. It's a fucking drug addict that just wants to get his fix. It's a couple little 2 or 3 kids that's together want to whoop your fucking ass for your wallet so they can have some money to go to the arcade. Not every time are they trying to kill you, but if you fight back, it might scare them, and then they're going to fight harder. So it could go that way. You can't just not think it won't go that way. In the day and age we live, kids carry guns. They carry knives. To sit there and think that isn't going to happen is just stupid. It isn't going to be this, okay, I'm going to put all my weapons to the side, you put your weapons to the side, and let's fight. Let's do it this way. That isn't the way it works anymore. So when people are like, well, I train for reality self-defense, I'm like, really? Do you really bust your fucking ass and sweat and bleed and push yourself and look at real concepts? Or do you just talk about it? Because your training has to fit reality. That is the fact. You cannot change reality to fit the training. You have to change your training to fit reality. To understand that.
Right.
And people don't get that. And that's why the world is where it's at. So many people train in martial arts. I can guarantee you, the majority of people who train in martial arts don't have the true skill set to protect themselves in the street. Because they're only used to training against someone that's in the same weight class, with the same set of rules, you know, or they're used to training in a family atmosphere where no one gets hurt, and no one has to push themselves, and no one has to feel pain, and that ain't real life. That ain't my life, and it ain't the life that I see on the fucking TV, and it sure as ain't the life that I see when I get put on the news every fucking morning. You know what I mean?
Right.
So don't ever forget that. You have to train for what is out there. What is out there isn't going to change based on your, bullshit training. Training has to fit reality.